Yes, sir. Hello students, welcome back to the session. See, in the previous session we discussed few facts as well as solved some numerical problems. So let us continue with some more theory that we are going to relate and deal in this real numbers chapter. See, we studied something called as fundamental theorem of arithmetic, which stated that every composite number can be expressed as product of its prime factors, and this expression is unique. That means the whatever prime factors we find out, they are unique for a given number, and we stated that it is best to arrange all the prime factors in their ascending order, correct? So based on this, let us study one theorem. Okay, so it is theorem 1.3 in your textbook. Okay, it is theorem 1.3 in your textbook. So which says let p be a prime number. So let p be a prime number. So if p divides if p divides a square, then p divides a, where a is some integer. Okay, so this is theorem 1.3 given in your textbook. So let me read this. So let p be a prime number if p divides a square. If p divides a square, then p divides a, where a is some integer. You do not have proof of this theorem from examination point of view, but still let us understand this with help of an example. Okay, so let me give an example. Let's consider number 100. Okay, let us consider that this is obviously 100 is a composite number. So let us list some of the prime numbers. So let us begin from the number system itself, the starting of the number system. So let us say 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and so on. Okay. Now let us see what these prime numbers divide 100. So 100 is divisible by 2, it is also divisible by 5, it is divisible by 10, it is divisible by 20, correct? It is divisible by 25, and so on. We can list out 50 like that. But from these numbers, let us just filter out the prime numbers. So what are the prime numbers? 2 is a prime number, so I will list it here. So 5 is also a prime number, so I will note it down here. Okay. Now you observe 100 is perfectly divisible by 2, leaving remainder 0, correct? 100 is perfectly divisible by 5, again leaving remainder 0. Now let us understand this example from theorem point of view. Let p be a prime number. So in this case, let's consider prime number is equal to 2. Okay. In this case, what is p? P is 5. So p be a prime number. If p divides a square, so in this case, what is my a square? A square is 100. If p divides a square, then p divides a. So what is a? A is nothing but square root of a square. So if a square is 100, then what is my a? A is 10. In this case also a square is 100, which means a is 10. But observe the last part of the theorem, which says then p divides a. So p divides a. Is it not true? See, my prime number 2 divided 100. If I took or if I take square root of 100, which is 10, still it is divisible by the same prime number. You observe here, 10 divided by 5 is possible, 10 divided by 2 is also possible. Okay, so let p be a prime number. Let p be a prime number. If p divides a square, then p divides a, where a is some integer. The proof of this theorem is not there from examination point of view, but still, as I told in earlier classes, you cannot prove any mathematical theorem by taking an example. We have to prove it in general sense. For this, let us use the expression of fundamental theorem of arithmetic. What was the expression of fundamental theorem of arithmetic that we used? We said A is equal to P1 into P2 into P3 so on till Pn. I hope you all remember this. I discussed this in my earlier sessions. That means any composite number can be expressed as product of its prime factors. So where P1, P2, P3 so on till Pn are prime factors or prime numbers. So if this is A, then what is my A square? Obviously I should just repeat the numbers, correct? P1, P2, P3, Pn multiplied by itself. P1, P2, P3 so on till Pn. Correct? So A square is P1, P2, P3 so on till Pn into P1, P2, P3 so on till Pn. Now we know that P divides A square. This is given. P divides A square. P divides A square. If P divides A square, it means that P should be present somewhere here. See, let me repeat. If P divides A square, then P is a prime factor which must exist here. Correct? Think on this. This is very important. This is called as deduction. See, P divides A square, we said any number which divides another number, then it should be a factor of the given number. So if P divides A square, which means P is present in the expression of A square. So P must be present somewhere here. If P is present here, then obviously when I take square root, it will be present. So if P divides A square, I can conclude that P divides A, correct? Understood? Fine. So this is by deduction. So we can say that, see, it is given in the textbook, I will read. See, using the uniqueness part of the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, only prime factors of A square are P1, P2, P3 so on till Pn. So P is 1 of P1, P2, P3 so on till Pn. Since A is equal to P1, P2, P3 so on till Pn, we can say that P also divides A. This is from uniqueness of fundamental theorem of arithmetic. See, again students, this theorem, you need to know this. This is extremely important. The theorem is extremely important, but the proof is not necessary. It is only for your intrigueness, for your understanding. I am just giving this proof. I don't think in your school also they might not have elaborated on this because this does not appear or is not included in your syllabus. So I think the example is clear. So I took the example first in order to make you understand the theorem. Why this theorem is extremely important? Using this theorem, you get many problems in board exams. That means I can say this theorem is becoming like a lemma for you. What is a lemma? Lemma is a proven statement used to prove another statement. So using this theorem, you have to prove some other statements which will be asked in your board exams. For example, prove that root 2 is irrational. Prove that root 5 is irrational. For such questions, you will have to use this theorem. Okay, so this theorem is again extremely important. Knowing the theorem is not just enough, you must have the good understanding of this theorem also. Fine, please note down this. Yes, now let us take some questions and use the theorem 1.3 and find its application. Okay, so the question goes like this. The question says, prove that root 2 is irrational. See, you have been studying this, that square roots are generally irrational. So, before going into what is irrational, let us say or rewind what is rational. So, any number which can be expressed in the form of p by q, where p and q are integers and primes, I mean co-primes. will be a rational number. So which any number which contradicts this statement will be considered as irrational. So in order to prove this that root 2 is irrational, we have to consider the contradiction. So here comes something called as proof by contradiction. Okay, this is very important. Proof by contradiction. So if we had listened my classes very carefully, we had done this proof by contradiction when I said what is 0 by 0, or when I said what is 0 by infinity, or when I said what is any number divided by 0. So we did this proof by contradiction. So what here, let us say that, let us assume. So let's assume that root 2 is rational. So we have made this assumption that root 2 is rational. If root 2 is rational, then what can we say? We can say that there exist two integers r and s such that we can say root 2 is equal to r by s, correct? Where r and s are integers. But let us say R and S have a common factor. What do you mean by R and S have a common factor? R and S have a common factor. Observe very carefully. This is extremely important, and you can say almost one question is compulsory that from this chapter for your board examination. So R and S have a common factor. So let us understand this by taking an example. Example is always best. So let's take ratio 5 divided by 10. Yes, this fraction 5 divided by 10. Now your R is 5 and your S is 10. So both have, what is the common factor? The common factor is 5, because R is divisible by 5 as well as S is divisible by 5. Or let us take one more example. Let's say 24 divided by 18. So for this, what is my R? R is 24, S is 18. What are the common factors? 2 is common. Similarly, 3 is also common. Correct? Then, any other common factor? 6. Yes, 6 is also common factor. So, if there is a common factor, if we divide that, see, supposedly I did now. 6 3s are 18, 6 4s are 24. I got my resultant as 4 by 3. Now you observe 4 and 3 are co-primes. What do you mean by co-primes? Having those numbers having 1 as the common factor. There is no other common factor. Then they will be reduced to co-primes. So I can say if R and S have a common factor, root 2 after dividing the common factor, after dividing R and S by the common factor, I will be getting a fraction A by B such that A and B are primes, or I can say they are co-primes. So why this is required? Is it required? Why can't I say it directly? No, you should not take this directly. The reason, when I explain the next part, you will understand. So initially what you have to assume? You have to assume that root 2 is rational. Then we should say root 2, if it is rational, it can be expressed in the form of R by S, where R and S are integers, but R and S have a common factor. When R and S are divided by the common factor, they get reduced to integers A and B, such that A and B are co-primes. What do you mean by co-primes? Co-primes are those numbers having 1 as the common factor. So once they are reduced to this form, let us say now I cross multiply, I will get it as B root 2 is equal to A. Correct? B root 2 is equal to A. Now let me square on both sides. Square on both sides. If I square on both sides, what do I get? 2b square is equal to a square. This is extremely important step. 2b square is equal to a square. Now you observe, a square is considered as product of 2 and b square. That is like saying 10 is expressed as product of 2 and 5, which means that 10 is divisible by 2 as well as 10 is divisible by 5. Just here ulta. Correct? So if a square is expressed as 2 and b square, I can say that 2 divides a square. Am I right? Now comes our theorem. What is our theorem? Let P be a prime. If P divides a square, then P divides a also. So we observe 2 is a prime. This is a prime. So if 2 divides a square, I have to conclude that 2 divides a. Am I right? This is very important step again. Just observe the notation I am using. So if 2 divides a square, then 2 divides a. I hope I am clear with this. Correct? If 2 divides a, how can we change the expression? How can we change the expression? Now you observe here. 10 is equal to 2 into 5. I can simply represent it as 2c, where c is a constant. C is a constant. So, it is simply a modification in the mathematical representation. That means I have understood that 2 divides A. So, how can I express? I can say that A is equal to 2C. Correct? If I, that is like taking example, 10 is equal to 2 into 5. I can say 10 is equal to 2C, where in this case, C has become as 5. So I need not worry on this. So I have replaced 5 as C. So in this case also, since 2 divides A, since we don't know what number A is, I can simply say A is equal to 2C. 2 is one prime and C can be expressed in other primes also. So if this is the case, now you put, let's assume this has 2 in equation 1, that is here. If I do that, what do I get? 2b square is equal to 2c the whole square, which implies 2b square is equal to 4c square. B square is equal to 2c square. Now you observe, I can say that since b square has expressed as 2c square, it has come in this format. That means, see here I can write a statement now. What statement can I write now? I can say 2 divides b square. Am I correct? 2 divides b square, because if I check the expression of b square, it is 2 into c square. Means 2 is the prime of b square. So 2 divides b square. Again using our theorem 1.3, 2 divides b square. We can say that 2 divides b. This is my second statement. Now you observe, this is very important, extremely important, students. Observation is very important. Now you observe, we had 2 divides A, we have 2 divides B, but in the beginning we assume that A and B are co-primes. Am I right? This is the reason why we have to come from this step to this step. Directly we should not assume this. So, in the beginning we said that A and B are co-primes. A and B have no other factors other than 1 as common. But we have proved that 2 divides A as well as 2 divides B, which means that A and B have a common prime factor other than 1, which contradicts our initial assumption. So, we can say that this contradiction has come because root 2 is irrational. So, ending statement which I have to write is, this has risen because this has risen because root 2 is irrational. Yes? Understood? So let me just run through this solution again. Extremely important. So the question given is prove that root 2 is irrational. So this way of proving or method we are using is known as proof by contradiction. Proof by contradiction means in the beginning we assume a statement, but through the procedure of proving, we say that at the end, the initial assumption is wrong or it contradicts. So what did we do? We say that root 2 is rational. If root 2 is rational, it can be expressed in the form of r by s, where r and s are integers. And also we said that R and S have some common factor. So if R and S are divided by the common factor, we get root 2 is equal to A by B, where A and B are co-primes. Co-primes meaning that A and B have no other common prime factors which can divide A and B. So once we have done this, we did cross multiplication. Root 2b is equal to A. Then squaring on both sides, we get 2b square is equal to A square. So now if we observe the expression, we can say that A square has 2 in its expression. Using fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we can say A in its expression as multiplication of prime factors, we can say it contains 2. So we say in turn that 2 divides A square. If 2 divides A square, using 1.3 theorem, we can say that 2 divides A. Correct? So if 2 divides A, we can say that A can be expressed as 2 multiplied by some factor. That is, I have taken it as A is equal to 2C. Now you substitute this back in our first expression. 2b square is equal to A square. I get it as 2b square is equal to 2c the whole square, which becomes 2b square is equal to 4c square. 2 ones are 2 twos are, b square is equal to 2c square. Again observing this expression, we come to conclusion that 2 divides b square. If 2 divides b square, again using theorem 1.3, we can conclude that 2 divides b. So this is my second equation. Now if I compare this equation and this equation, we can say that 2 is a common factor which divides both A and B. But this is not the assumption we made here. We assume that A and B are co-prime numbers, meaning they don't have any common factors other than 1. Therefore, we say that the result contradicts the initial observation or initial assumption. And we can say this contradiction has arisen because root 2 is irrational and thereby our assumption is wrong. Hence, proved. Understood? Please note down. We will do one more problem on this also. Yes, let us take one more question on the same type. That is, prove that root 3 is irrational. So, what is the statement that I should write first? So, let us assume that root 3 is rational. If root 3 is rational, we know that it can be expressed in the form of P by Q, which is from the definition of rational numbers. So let us say then there exist integers R and S such that root 3 is equal to R by S. Let R and S have common factor A, or we can say let have common factor D. So when R and S are divided by D, when R and S are divided by D, the expression reduces to root 3 is equal to A by B such that A and B are co-prime numbers. I hope, see whatever explanation I gave, I am writing down everything on the board. So root 3 is equal to A by B. Now I should do cross multiplication. B root 3 is equal to A. So further, what should I do? Now what should I do? So what should I do next? Square on both sides. So what do I get? 3b square is equal to a square. Now observing this expression, 3b square is equal to a square. I can say that 3 divides a square. 3 divides a square. Am I right? 3 divides a square. If 3 divides a square, I can further say that 3 divides a. This is the conclusion from my theorem 1.3. If 3 divides a, now we know that a can be expressed as 3c, where c is some integer, because 3 divides a. If this is the case, what we say is put 2 in equation 1. Then what do we get? Here, 3b square is equal to 3c the whole square. Correct? 3b square is equal to 9c square, which further implies b square is equal to 3c square. Now I can say that comparing these two, 3 divides b square. If 3 divides b square, again using theorem 1.3, I can say 3 divides b. From 1 and 2, I can say that 3 is a common factor for a and b. But in the beginning we assumed that a and b are co-prime numbers. So this contradicts the initial assumption, and this contradiction has arisen due to the fact that root 3 is irrational. Hence proved it is not rational. I hope this is clear. Please note down quickly. So now let's discuss some of the facts about irrational numbers. So what is a fact? So you studied these facts in 9th standard. Please try to recollect when I write it on the board. So first fact is that the sum or difference of rational and irrational and an irrational number is an irrational number. Similarly, the second fact is that the product or the division of a non-zero rational and an irrational number is, can anybody guess, is, yes, an irrational number. See, these two facts are very important, because if you remember these two facts very well, see, in some board questions will come like this: prove that root 3 minus 5 is irrational. So a doubt might arise in your mind. See, root 3 is irrational, fine, I have studied, that is standard. But 5 is a rational number. So if I take irrational number and rational number and perform subtraction, will it result in rational number or irrational number? This doubt should not come into your mind. You should be very thorough and definitive that the sum or difference of a rational and an irrational number is an irrational number. Similarly, supposedly I gave like this: prove that 3 root 5 is irrational. So here also you observe the product of rational and irrational. So product or division, or I can say it as quotient. the other one. Okay, for this. The product or quotient of non-zero, this is extremely important, non-zero rational and an irrational number is an irrational number. So if you are very well aware and confident that or confident of these two facts, then when they ask you such questions, it will be very easy for you to prove. Otherwise, you will be in a dilemma that, oh, whether this is correct or how should I prove, what is a fact. So all this doubts will arise in your mind. So remember, sum or difference of a rational and irrational number is irrational number. The product or quotient of an irrational number and irrational number, where both are non-zeros, is again an irrational number. Fine? Please note down this. Yes. Now let us take exercise 1.3. Okay. So exercise 1.3. So here, first question, that is prove that root 5 is irrational is your assignment. Prove that root 5 is irrational. See, I have already proved root 2 and root 3 as irrational. So it is your now duty to prove that root 5 is irrational on the similar term. So question number 1 of exercise 1.3 is your homework, or I can say assignment. Now let me take question number 2. Okay. So what question number 2 says? Prove that 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. So we know for a fact that root 3 is rational. Correct? This we know. Again, 2 is also rational. 5 is irrational. But just few minutes back we studied sum of rational and irrational number is again irrational. Similarly, product of rational and irrational number is irrational. So I can say the product of 2 and root 5 is irrational. Correct? Similarly, sum of rational and irrational number is irrational. So this is a fact which I know, but I have to prove. So what is the proof? So how do we prove this? So again, proof of contradiction. What is that? So let us assume that 3 plus 2 root 5 is rational. If 3 plus 2 root 5 is rational, then I can say 3 plus 2 root 5 can be expressed as a by b. So here I will say a and b are co-prime. Okay, this is very important. Once I do this, I will rearrange. What do I do? See, 3 minus a by b is equal to 2 root 5. Am I right with this? 3 minus a by b is equal to 2 root 5. Now still further, what I will do is, I will take 2 to this LHS. Then what will happen? I will get it as 3 minus a by b whole divided by 2 is equal to root 5. I hope everyone is clear with this. I have just written one extra statement here. That's all. So now, further I can say that 3 by 2 minus a by 2b is equal to root 5. I hope this is clear. I have just divided individual terms here. So 3 by 2 minus a by 2b. Now you can say that 3 by 2 is rational. Correct? Why rational? Because it is expressed in form of p by q, where both 3 and 2 are rational numbers or integers. Similarly, a by 2b is also rational. Why a by 2b is also rational? Because we have assumed that a and b are prime numbers, co-prime numbers. Co-prime numbers means they are also integers. So again, multiplying one constant to an integer becomes rational only. So a by 2b is also rational. That means 3 by 2 minus a by 2b is also rational. Why? Because again we have studied by a fact that rational number minus rational number plus rational number is again a rational number. That means my LHS is rational. However, root 5 is irrational. Am I right? Root 5 is irrational, which makes LHS not equal to RHS. So what does it mean? What do we conclude from this? So we can say that therefore by contradiction, this contradicts our initial assumption that 3 plus 2 root 5 is rational. Therefore 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. So students, you must write down this statement. Writing down this statement is extremely important. That is a conclusion. Therefore it contradicts the initial assumption that 3 plus 2 root 5 is rational. Hence, the given question 3 plus 2 root 5 is irrational. This must be written as the closing statement. Okay, fine. Please note down this.